Man, let's talk
Come
some
on,
hip
come
hop
over.
Yes,
shit,
we got
man.
Ice Cube
Always.
in the
Like,
house.
this is a
Always.
fucking hip hop show. We
Like
got all that shit
politics,
out the fucking way, man.
blah.
Yeah,
Politics, exactly.
How did
Um,
when you did Burn Hollywood Burn, do you still feel that same way? As far because that was a really, really, really poignant song where you bridged the West Coast with the East Coast with Big Daddy and Chuck D. Do you
yeah.
still feel that same way?
Of course, in some ways, I think, Burn Hollywood Burn was never, go up to, 20th Century Fox and throw a damn cocktail,
right.
over the fence. It wasn't never that. It was, it was more like, let's burn this old philosophy. Let's burn down this old way of thinking. Let's
Yes.
burn down these old images. Let's, redefine who we are, in some way, shape, or form. And at the time, I wasn't a part of Hollywood, so we was just speaking to the people who were part of Hollywood. And
Mm.
so becoming a part of Hollywood in some way, I went in there to try to change the game in any way, shape, or form, and try to do stories that were nuanced to us that people wouldn't usually get or do. Try not to have a whole bunch of sucker shit in my movies. Real people that you can identify with, even though they was half crazy, most of them. But so yeah, we went in there. It's like bowling ball. It's bowling ball it, man, and hopefully build it up new. And we need another version of Burn Hollywood Burn, because we need to be in control of our own images.
Word.
We're not true artists. You're not a true artist if you don't control your art, and that's just it.
That's right.
When you first get exposed to hip hop and shit, like what made you want to fuck with it? It made you feel like there's some shit I could do.
Um, you mean actually be more than a fan and just
Exactly, a
actually try?
participant,
Yeah.
right? Because we
Oh,
all go from that point of being a fan to becoming a participant. Those who end up doing it. So when was that time for you?
um, I guess from '79 to about '83, I was just a straight fan and just a fiend. I wouldn't call it a fan. I was a fiend.
Now,
I
what kind of
was
hip hop are you hearing in '79 to '83 out in L.A.? Because I feel like music moved much slower back then. Was it just some L.A. type of shit, or was you listening like? Did you get tapes from the East Coast and shit like that?
Yeah. I mean, it was LA rappers. I knew DJs. I knew
Mm.
DJs who would DJ house parties. So some of them were in record pools. So they would, starting in like towards the 80s, the 82, 83, I was getting into that. 79, my uncle was a DJ and he had Rapper's Delight. You know what I'm saying? He had everything, by
Mm.
Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. It was
Mm-hmm.
mainly, the hip hop that kind of, you know, broke the mold, and one of those nuanced groups that was in New York, that you hear about, you know what I'm saying? But it was more of the groups that were starting to break through. It was Run DMC,
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. We was banging it, but it was only a certain amount of us in a neighborhood that really cared about rap. They was still listening to, Rick James and
Right,
you know what I'm
right.
saying,
Yeah, yeah.
Disco.
Parliament and all that
Zap,
type of shit.
Parliament.
Yeah, yeah,
So it
yeah.
only, it was noise to some people. So I felt like, oh, this is some shit I'm on that ain't nobody on my street. Right, only a few people around the hood was on it. So I would get on my bike and just go to the garage, watching DJ. They would have the records. They would be, playing shit like Rocket
Fearless Flo.
Herbie
Herbie
Hancock.
Hancock.
Oh,
Herbie
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hancock.
Herbie Hancock, right.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was the gist of it. Then, we started to get more sophisticated with Run DMC. I think Run DMC and Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five started to make us understand like great hip hop versus some of the bullshit that
Okay,
was
hip hop.
starting to, they had rapping Duke and all kind of weird shit, popping out. So 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 we my homeboy down the street was the only one that was a b-boy. Like my man Sir Jinx was a real b-boy. He
Shout out to Jinx.
he broke dan I mean, he was break dancing, so he had cardboard he was always coming over trying to get cardboard from my pops and shit. My pops was like, what you need all this goddamn cardboard for? So, you know, he would be, while we playing football, we fucking around and we hanging out, just sitting around looking for something to get into. Jinx would come out with his big ass radio and just start breaking and shit. But down the street,
where is the footage? I want to see the footage.
he be down the street just breaking like for himself and shit. So you'd be like, damn, okay. So Jinx was new to our neighborhood. So everybody else was in either gangbanging, football, basketball, or baseball. So nobody understood like what tip is this dude on. But I was like, oh, I'm fucking with that. Because then I saw he did graffiti. Right. He did graffiti. And then I would hear all these beats coming out of his house. So I started to go fuck with Jinx. You know what I mean? I really started to hang out with him. And then I started walking past the niggas in the hood that wasn't doing nothing, go fuck with Jinx. Because we'd be DJing on straight arm turntables. You know what I mean? We had whack equipment.
Straight on turntables.
Yeah, we trying to be what we saw, the New York hip hop scene was. We was in that. We was thinking about going to, to bomb on RTD buses and shit. We was just starting to get our minds engulfed in
that hip hop shit.
New York hip hop culture. And it was just us two. And his cousin just happened to be fucking Dr. Dre. So I ended up finding that out. And I'm like, the Dr. Dre? I never believed him and shit. Because Dre had a record out. And he's like, no, my cousin do records. I'm like, yeah, right. He's like, no, my cousin do records. And I kept shunning that and like looking over it. So then I started rapping out of, by 83. I started actually, trying to write rhymes and bust. But I was off beat as hell because I always rap. I never had equipment, so I just would make a cappella shit. Just to nothing. Rap to nothing.
You should just rap to nothing.
Yeah, just rap to nothing. And so he started to hear me rhyme, and he was like, the raps are good, but you got to come in here. So he would have me come in his room and put on a beat and just kind of get me to just slow the flow down or speed it up and just rock the beat.
Show you how to get in the pocket.
Yeah, I spent months rocking beats just in his house. Any beat he had, any instrumental we come on, fucking Fat Boys, Jailhouse Rap, rock that beat. You know what I mean? Like anything. Joski Love, fucking rock that beat. So anything we can get our hands on, we rock it. And so we the best B-boys on the block by now. And so the dudes on our block, they still in the football, basketball, gang banging. And we are on this quest for whoever want to do hip hop in the hood. So some dudes with DJ, some dudes with MC. So we start going around looking for battles and shit. And Dub C, he had started rapping. He's from my neighborhood. So we would go find Dub C and we'd be battling and shit. And so we just started to just try to just, find, go to schools, find niggas on the quad, battle them. We was just into all that. Anything that was hip hop, anybody DJing, we was in their garage all day, and just engulfed in the culture. And then Drake came around and kind of took us under his wing, and we started hanging with him. And then they was doing it on a whole nother level. We was like going from high school to college, and it was about to be in the pros.
And didn't it feel like special to like be up on some shit that a lot of people wasn't up on? Like it seems like these days everybody wants to be doing what everybody else is doing. Back then it was like, nigga, you ain't up on this shit, B. Like I'm up on some fly shit that you ain't up on. Like you used to want to have the kicks that niggas ain't have, or the hat, or so everything basically. Even the beats. I remember having tapes and shit like that from the Cold Crush and shit like that. And like maybe I got the new tape that niggas don't got yet. and I got the shit at least 2 weeks before other niggas get a chance to get it. Now I'm walking around with my box playing the shit, turning heads like, yeah, nigga, you ain't got this shit. You know what I mean? And it felt good like to be up on some shit that other niggas wasn't up on. That's kind of what you kind of describing to me, I feel like.
Yeah, you up on that brand new. You're
exactly
brand new. You up on that. You just got that shit that nobody know about yet, and people tripping out over you. Like when we took our shoestrings out our shoes, I mean, motherfuckers laughed all day at us. You know what I'm saying? About like, what y'all doing? No shoestring. How you gonna run from the police with no shoestring? How you gonna fight with no shoestring? Like
I knew dudes that did all of that. Shout out to my man Debonair. This nigga used to fight, run from the police, no shoestrings. And he kept the same. He kept the same Adidas looking fresh for months on end. Baby powder.
In the front of your Adidas, you shoving face towels in there so they can prop up.
Or you fold your socks back. You fold you get the long socks and you fold them back.
Yeah, man.
He had all kind of tricks.
Yeah, and like Jinx was the king of anything B-boy. He wanted to look like them dudes y'all would draw on the train and shit.
Yeah.
He was that dude.
He wanted to look like Fordham Road in the Bronx or some shit like that.
So he wanted puffer fucking bomber jackets and shit.
Were you all watching? Did you all see Beat Street? Was Beat Street big in LA? Yeah,
of course.
I feel like they shot it out there.
It wasn't big as Breaking though.
Hell no.
Breaking because it was pop locking.
Yeah,
was just on a different level than Beat Street, which was New York breaking and that culture. So both of those movies was the shit. But Crush Groove came out, knocked both of them motherfuckers out the box. Like Crush Groove was the straight out of Compton of those movies to me. Like everything was in it.
Yeah. Now let me just say what was the most authentic movie to me though of that time was Wild Style.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, Wild Style was the visual equivalent of like a dirty fucking mixtape back then. You know what I mean? Like and it had those type of real niggas in it. The only thing I didn't understand why everybody was rhyming on the same beat, but I didn't know about sample clearances and all that type of shit. I'm like, why they all rhyming? But they picked the dope one, you know what I mean? The shit that the Down by Law. That was some shit right there. But those other ones had budgets.
To this day, his rhyme is, hey, sucker nigga, wherever you are. You didn't buy my chain and you didn't buy my car. I mean, he'll say that to this day. When
hey, sucker nigga, wherever you are.
Hey, sucker nigga, try to
man, he'll hit that to this day just to get ready to go on stage. So Wild Style, man, all them movies right there, we was fiending. We'd go hit it wasn't Blockbuster back then. We'd go hit the VHS video where you could go buy movies. We get Wild Style, we get Breaking, we get any. They ain't going back. We ain't returning those movies. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We keeping those.
I'm gonna take the fine for this one. I'm gonna hold that L.
There was no question. Like these never coming back.
Yeah, you ain't never gonna see this. Matter of fact, let me take this out on somebody else's account because I know I'm not bringing this one back.
Without a doubt, you fucking up everybody's credit. They're sending notices at the house, but that's not coming back. You don't have Wild Style for 8 months.